Today is August 16th edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were Central Illinois agriculture source and in the Midwest alongside in Central Illinois agriculture source. We were glad you're here on a Friday, starting to the weekend after this weekend. Otherwise, this is for your agricultural news and markets, especially with the interviews for today's program on Back Roads of Illinois. Ag economists and Purdue University crop conditions. Illinois grand champion in the state fair. Ag economists and Purdue University in Lafayette, Indiana on this week. Bunch of agricultural economists as they're an event in Lafayette for an annual meeting with the North Central U.S. from land-grant university like the University of Illinois, Iowa State University, Purdue University Extension. We were seeing declining commodity prices in foreign trade for the farmers and ranchers in the Midwest. Crop conditions is 70% from the average, but the corn crop is very good in central Illinois and across the Midwest. We are watching the weather forecast for next week because it's going to be cooler on next Thursday at lower the 80s and 70s in central Illinois. Illinois grand champion in the state fair for yesterday. It's purchased from CME Group in Chicago for the University of Illinois in Urbana and Champaign. The University of Illinois is a land-grant university in the state of Illinois. We were coming back with our guest Megan Dwyer. She is a directorship and conservation of Illinois Corn Growers Association in Bloomington. Then we will talk about commodities markets with Kent Beadle from Paradigm Futures in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We were talking about the wheat yields winner in Pekin, Illinois. It's Wendell Good. He is your wheat yields winner in Pekin. Stay tuned on Back Roads of Illinois. Right here. We were joining with Megan Dwyer. She is a directorship and conservation of Illinois Corn Growers Association in Bloomington, Illinois. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Sun's shining here. We've got a beautiful late summer day in Northern Illinois.
Let's start our conversation about updating from the Illinois Corn Growers Association with stewardship practices for the state of Illinois.
Yeah, great. We've got a lot of things going on here in Illinois at Illinois Corn. Our Precision Conservation Management Program, which was founded on the basis of looking at the economic sustainability of farmers, is really and continues to expand and offer a great service to farmers. We've been very busy working with the upcoming 45Z rule, the Endangered Species Act, the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy, and all of those components have a conservation piece and a desire to see more conservation practices on Illinois farmland. So really a lot of interesting spaces right now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Can you tell us about your program for waterway?
Yeah, so our PCM program, it's not necessarily just for waterways. It's really looking at putting conservation on the working land. And as I mentioned before, we fully understand that a part of sustainability is the economic sustainability and viability of a farmer going forward. And we know in these tough economic times, it's even more important. And so we have this program that started back in 2015. farmer-led, farmer-driven. And as I mentioned, it's looking primarily at tillage, cover crops, and nutrient management, specifically with nitrogen and what those economic returns can be. And it also looks at what the environmental benefits and outcomes of those practices can be. And every year we publish a report that looks at the aggregated data of the farmers from all across the state. It usually comes out in the Prairie Farmer, usually around every June or July. It's a great resource. You can also find it online at Illinois Corn or the Precision Conservation Management website. But again, it's looking at kind of both the economic and environmental benefits, and we're really seeing an influx, especially from the private side. I mentioned 45Z. We know a lot of our consumer packaged goods companies, so your PepsiCo, Kellogg's, Walmarts of the world are all very interested in seeing and being more sustainable in their own supply chain and products. And so see a lot of interest in those groups wanting to help financially support farmers achieve their goals as well. The PCM program is now in 3 states. We're in Illinois, Kentucky, and Nebraska, with some working on some expansions on some fringe states with some programs and partners as well. So a lot going on there. As I mentioned, we're also really working on state programs. The Fall Covers or Spring Savings is a great program in Illinois that offers a $5 crop insurance premium reduction if you plant cover crops. And then, federally, we've got Farm Bill, which I think we're going to talk about soon, and looking at some different programs and opportunities federally as well to see and offer some more support.
With advocacy.
Yeah, advocacy is a big part of what we do as well. And I would say Illinois Corn has several priorities, as you can imagine, ways that we can build the demand for corn to make sure that, again, that financial viability is here to stay for the Illinois farmer. Trade, making sure that we've got markets both domestically and internationally for our products. But really, one of our other core focuses is around conservation and sustainability. We have been very committed to helping Illinois reach the goals of the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy. And so that happens in a variety of ways, both working with other partners on the conservation side, agencies, different commodity and farm groups, really trying to come together and find solutions and ways to make this work. There's 22 million acres of cropland in Illinois. And so that's just a really big geography to cover. You've got over 70,000 farmers in the state. And so trying to get in touch and make sure they're all aware of what is going on, opportunities that exist, and trying to find ways that work for their own farm can be challenging, and it takes time. Some unique things that we've done recently. I recently had the opportunity and took some peers and some fellow Illinois Farm Bureau colleagues down to southern Louisiana, and we were able to actually go see the dead zone and visit with some researchers and fishermen to talk about exactly how this is impacting them and their livelihood and what that looks like, and hopefully be able to take some of this back and share both with farmers, consumers, and our legislative friends in Illinois.
Where people can join the Illinois corn growers.
Absolutely. We would always love new members. You can go to illinoisilcorn.org. It's our Illinois Corn website. There's a link there and a tab that would bring you into our membership page. We offer annual, 3-year, and lifetime memberships with some different perks. But at the end of the day, we know that especially the corn farmer in Illinois is very busy doing what they love, which is farming and working in that soil and, ensuring that legacy exists. And so Illinois Corn is here to have a seat at the table to ensure that the priorities of Illinois corn farmers are being heard both in Springfield and in Washington, D.C., both from that political side, but also just the general, outreach to consumers and advocacy and education sharing.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just think that anyone that's listening, both whether it's a farmer, I would encourage you to try something new on an acre. Take a small spot and do something different and just try it out. I know that this is a year that can be more challenging with the economic conditions that we face, but try something new. You might be surprised on how some of these practices really can help with the resiliency of your field and your soil and improve that and reduce that risk long term. And for somebody that's just listening and interested in agriculture, I hope that you know that there are groups out there like Illinois Corn and several other across the state that take things like nutrient loss very seriously, and we are trying to find solutions and make progress, and we understand that there's a long way to go, but it's going to take some new programs, some new innovation, and everybody continuing to work together on this.
Thanks, Megan. We
Thank
were
you.
enjoying our conversation. This is Megan Dwyer from Illinois Corn Growers Association. We were going to talk about the commodities markets with Kent Beadle from Paradigm Futures and Sioux Falls in South Dakota. We were welcoming him on the show for today on Back Roads of Illinois. Welcome to the show. How are you today, Kent?
I'm doing very well, Caesar. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. Let's start with our conversation about updating from the crop progress in the upper Midwest for right now alongside in Dakotas.
Crop progress in the upper Midwest is moving along nicely. The crop is completely pollinated, and ears have been set, and we've had some rainfall recently to help begin to fill those ears. We are further behind in the upper Midwest than your listeners are in central Illinois. The crop is going to need some more heat units and another inch or two of timely rain. And most importantly, we are going to need to have some time this fall in order for the crop to mature. So we have to be wary of an early frost. An early frost would be very damaging to yields and the quality of our corn here in the upper Midwest.
How is the beans and sugar beet?
The soybeans are currently setting pods. The soybean plants in the upper Midwest are generally a little shorter than the plants that you would have in Illinois. And they were stressed early on in the crop year with too much moisture. So we have some areas where we have some drowned out spots and some areas where the plants are relatively short. But we have had adequate rainfall since the early season, and the better drained fields will probably have good to excellent yields, while as the heavier ground and the poorer drained fields in soybeans may struggle a little bit with yields due to excess moisture. Our sugar beets are within a couple weeks of early harvest. They generally have an early season harvest of sugar beets in September, and many of the growers are getting ready for that harvest. Most growers are fairly optimistic that they're going to have very good tons per per acre, maybe in the neighborhood of even 20 to 30.
How is the spring week in Minnesota and in Dakota for right now with the weather?
So we've had some rainfall recently. Rainfall on
How is the markets?
We had another rough week in grain markets generally. The wheat markets did not fare quite so poorly. They were only down slightly this week. The Kansas City contract did post a new contract low, but then managed to close above that low on the week. The corn trade this week was disappointing. We started the week out with a technical key reversal higher in the aftermath of the USDA crop report. That USDA report showed that corn demand for old crop grew and old crop ending stocks fell. New crop demand grew and new crop acres were smaller due to prevent plant acres and some switching of corn into soybeans. And as a result, even though the yield was 2.1 bushels an acre higher than the previous USDA estimate, ending stocks for new crop actually fell. That prompted us to have a key reversal higher on Monday. However, for the rest of the week, we primarily traded lower in expectation of next week's crop tour, which will be launched both out of South Dakota and Nebraska next week in the West, and out of Ohio and Indiana.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thought is just this. Corn and soybean prices are trending lower, and they're trending lower because the supplies are growing as yields have grown. But we're getting very close to an area that represents a price that is just fully unsustainable for the American farmer, and also a price that is quite a bargain for end users. And we really believe over time that end users are going to start to step in and get their needs covered. We think that the selling of old crop from farmers is going to quickly wane, and that new crop production is likely going to get stored because of the carrying charges and because of the low price.
Thanks, Kent.
You're welcome.
This is Kent Beadle from. Welcome back to the show. Thanks to Kent Beadle from Paradigm Futures. This time for taking a time to Wendell Good from Pekin, Illinois, east of Peoria County and Woodford County. Wendell is the winner of Illinois Wheat Yields winner in Pekin. We are welcoming him on the show with us. Welcome to the show with us.
Thank you.
Let's start with our conversation about your career and your farm operation in Tazewell County.
I've been farming in the southeast corner of Tazewell County down in the Hiddle Township for about 14 years. My father retired at that time and I took over the farm. About 350 acres. It's not a large farm, but we grow corn, beans, and I've added wheat to our rotation.
How was the wheat harvest in central Illinois?
It was a very good harvest. We had a little bit of excess rain during the season, so there were some disease issues, but we sprayed our crop with fungicide a couple of times, and it held up very well. The variety that we entered in the contest had a very good rating for having wet feet in the field, and I believe that was the difference between that and some of our other varieties we grew.
Did you decide to enter the contest?
I wanted to enter the contest last year. In fact, I had actually sent in an entry fee, but we had a very rainy harvest season, so I was unable to separate out the harvest and track the yield for the contest. This year, we had a very good harvest season, not much rain, and I was able to get all the yield checks and weights and paperwork filled out. The Illinois Wheat Association was very helpful. Illinois Wheat Growers Association was very helpful in making sure I had the right paperwork and that I dotted the I's and crossed the T's on that paperwork. So big thanks to them for their help.
What is the yields for right now with the wheat?
The contest yield that I had sent in was 137 bushels an acre. Our new crop wheat will be planted this fall, and obviously we want to beat last year's yield and coming even better than we did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there anything would you like to tell our listeners about this crop for right now?
I would encourage Central Illinois growers to add wheat into their rotation, particularly where you have some erodible ground with some slope to it. It's a great crop for holding the soil in place, and with a good, decent double crop bean yield to add to that wheat revenue, it matches up pretty nicely with corn for both revenue and profitability on a per acre basis.
Wendell, could you tell our listeners about the Illinois Wheat Association in Central Illinois?
Yes, the Illinois Wheat Growers Association has been around for quite a while. A lot of the members and people that have made this work are from Southern Illinois, but the actual headquarters is in Bloomington, Illinois, and the lady there, Megan, has been very helpful in getting registered and getting set up, and I'm sure she would love to see more Central Illinois members join up.
D. Do you have any final thoughts?
Just like I say, I'd encourage more people to try growing wheat. A couple of big things to remember is to put some fungicide on to prevent head scab at flowering time, and don't cheat it on the fertility, and you'll get some good yields, and it'll be a great crop for conserving your soil and making a little money also.
This is your commodity markets update. Minute corn futures finished in down 3 to 6 cents. Soybean futures finished in down 8 to 9 cents. Wheat futures finished in down 3 to 5 cents. cattle futures finished and down 8 to 10 cents. Feeder cattle finished and down 8 to 9 cents. Lean hogs finished and down 3 to 5 cents. Crude oil finished and down 3 to 4 cents per barrel. Dow Jones finished and down 8 points. Thanks to our guests on today's program. We're running out of time on our show, but you can listen to our show on YouTube and whenever you get your podcast. This has been Back Roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado. Have a great weekend.